All right, good afternoon, everyone. If we can, let's just go ahead and do a quick audio video slide check here. Just make sure you can see Wendy and myself here. You see the slide that I've got up there. If you don't mind, just type a Y in the question box there. Let me know that the audio is video slide is working. All right, good. So we got a great group. We've had almost 700 people sign up for this webinar. All right, excellent. All right, so give me just a second. We'll get started officially here. All right, looks like we're ready to go. All right, again, welcome everyone to this presentation hosted by FFR Trading. My name is John Madison. I am the Senior Strategist here at FFR Trading. I'll be your host for this special webinar, Unleashing the Power of Alpha and Gemini, featuring Wendy Kirkland. We'll talk to Wendy in just a moment. Feel free to post questions during the presentation, but we'll also have a formal Q&A session with Wendy after she's done with her part of the presentation here. Okay, you should see the risk disclosure slide here. You're all aware trading is risky business. All right, that's why FFR exists, because most people fail trying to do this themselves. All right, that is why we pair you up with proven traders like Wendy Kirkland to help diversify you. You know, they have proven track records, and we diversify you among these traders and among these strategies to help mitigate that risk. All right, some of the stuff that we want to cover with you today. Obviously, I'll introduce you to Wendy. I'll introduce you to who we are here at FFR, what our role is. We're going to take a look at the trade academics of the programs that Wendy's going to be talking about today, her Alpha and Gemini premium programs. We'll go over the performance details. We'll have the Q&A session with Wendy, and then we'll get into the learn and earn, the educational portion of what comes with these services. It's not just a signal services, a lot of education that goes along and support that goes along with these. So who are we here at FFR Trading, and what is our role? We're a boutique vetting firm. We've been evaluating traders and their strategies for over 15 years to find veteran traders with proven track records. So each trader and strategy has to go through our 8-step certification process before that trader is allowed to provide their services to our clients here at FFR Trading. It's a very thorough process, I think you'll agree. All right, let's bring in Wendy. So Wendy, I put up your background slide up here, but maybe you could just talk to the folks and, you know, just let them know what you want them to know about you and your background and how you got started here.
Oh, thank you. I am happy to be here and happy to be participating in this and sharing some information about trading that as far as option trading and how it fits in my life, I was definitely not educated as an option trader. It happened by accident, and it ended up being a wonderful fit for me. And that is part of why I am so excited to share with people, because you don't have to have a financial background. It is something that you can learn, and just by being shown it, in a sense, that it is something that anybody can pick up and learn. And so that's why I'm here today. That's some of the things that we're going to cover as we proceed. And I'm just happy to be here. It's what makes my heart tick as far as being able to share that trading information with other people.
All right, fantastic. And so let's get into, we're going to talk about 2 of your premium strategies today, Alpha and Gemini. Now, these are your premium strategies. You call these your premium strategies as opposed to your introductory strategies like some of the merit programs. Could you just talk briefly about, you know, the difference between, you know, the premium programs, Gemini, Alpha, what all comes with these strategies versus, you know, your introductory programs?
Okay, well, I'll start with the introductory programs that they usually just cover one symbol, like the Qs or DIA or SPY, and you get the trade information and a book that tells you about the strategy, and that's kind of it. You know, it is really just a very simplified learning process. And so Gemini and Alpha are more involved, that they trade the whole stock market, or those are the potential candidates are the whole stock market. And in addition to a book that goes through all of the patterns that you'll be trading, all of the concepts of option trading about calls and puts, earning money when it goes up or down. It also provides you with a book, but a weekly newsletter where I am listing candidates that look like they're beginning to form the patterns, so that a great deal of the research work is done for you. So you are getting trade alert information, you're getting the education, you're also getting the weekly newsletters, and you get a recap at the end of the day, every day of the week, that either discusses the trades and what they were as far as entry and exit, or if there's other trade information about the market. I sometimes, maybe 3 times a week, write a little recap to just share what has been going on with the overall market.
All right, excellent. And let's go ahead and get into some of the trade academics of both Alpha and Gemini. Now, they're two different trade services, but they're focusing on big name companies like, you know, Bank of America, UPS, Chevron, you know, JP Morgan, big Fortune 500 companies. And it's based on your P3 and P3.5 strategy, which is the long
Right.
and short. And you're trading just buying calls or puts, right? Depending on what the
Right.
setup is. All right, you recommend or suggest an account size minimum $7,500, and you're allocating between $1,000 to $1,200 per trade, depending on which program we're talking about, Alpha or Gemini here. Alpha trades about 5 to 10 trades per month, depending on market conditions. Gemini is trading 4 to 6 trades per month, again, depending on strength of the trend and the overall market conditions as well. And I think you're holding positions on average about 5 days. Does that sound pretty accurate?
That's about right. Lately, because of the volatility of the market, there often is swings in direction every day, up and down, that some of the trades have been held for a shorter period of time, maybe 2 days, sometimes 3. But under normal trading conditions, it's usually about 5, because we're trading daily charts.
And that's one of the other points I wanted to ask you about. I know Alpha and Gemini are closely related in terms of the strategy, but what are some of the differences between the two strategies?
And I'm going to cover some of this when I share some slides about the trades, but
Okay, perfect.
both trade the P3 and P3.5 patterns, and the main difference is Gemini kind of trades for a longer period of time and sometimes earns more, a little bit per trade, because Alpha zeroes in on one stage of the pattern and is held just a little bit shorter period of time.
All right, got it. All right, and again, you'll go into more detail as folks are
Yes.
asking. So Wendy will go into more detail, guys, when she does her part of the presentation. So, so that's some of the academics. So let's look in at some of the performance of the Alpha and Gemini trade services here. Now, this is the Alpha trade service. This is, we're talking about a $7,500 account size, allocating no more than $1,200 per trade here. And these results go back from January of 2018 through May 19th of 2023 here. And this is after expenses. Basically, that $7,500 turns into a net profit during that period of $57,206. Right, that's a 763% return on capital after expenses. You're averaging with Alpha 142% per year. And a lot of people like to look at the monthly number to figure out, if they're looking for monthly income. She's averaging $887 per month. That's on a $7,500 account size. Okay, so these numbers are non-compounded. You're winning 73% of the trades. The average win size here, $513. The average loss, $501. Right, and that's why you've got a high win percentage. Even though the average wins and average losses are about the same size on average, that gets the equity curve moving higher over time, right? That's always going to have drawdowns, right, with any strategy, right? You're not going to win all the trades, but that's why that works. Alpha works. It's got a high win percentage, and it's about a 1-to-1 average win size in terms of that. Anything else that you want to add when it comes to the Alpha Trade service in terms of performance and so far?
Looks the way that it is and the way that it's been performing. That's awesome that you have the numbers together like that.
Yep. All right, so let's take a look and compare this now with the Gemini trade service. Now, Gemini, again, we're starting with a $7,500. That's the account minimum you recommend, allocating no more than $1,000 per trade. Again, after expenses here, this starts January of 2018, and these numbers are updated through April of 2023 here. And that time, non-compounded, again, $7,500 turns into a net profit of $72,175. That's a 962% return on capital. It's averaging 182% per year. And guys, you think about these numbers, right? This is over a long period of time now. You think about these numbers. What would these kind of numbers do for your retirement? If you got money sitting in an IRA that's not performing or underperforming, especially coming off of the bear market last year, what would this do for your retirement? Or if you're looking to generate monthly income. So if you look at the monthly average here, she's averaging about $1,100 per month on a $7,500 account size. That's 15% per month, right? Wins 73% of the trades. And again, the average winner, $485 here with Gemini. The average loser, just $396. Okay, so talk about the more recent performance on these. How have you been navigating the market? It's been pretty volatile. We've seen, the market crashed and then it's starting to recover. How is that, how have you seen that affect the number of trades that you're taking, on a monthly basis and so on with these services?
The volatility has affected it so that there has been slightly fewer trades than you have during a strong trend. But also the trades have been held just a little bit shorter periods of time. So once we maybe earn 30%, 35%, 40% instead of holding and then having their being caught in a swing, we'll go ahead and just close it after a shorter period of time and say thank you very much and move on to the next one.
All right, fantastic. So like I said, some great numbers, guys. Again, think about what this would do, for your account. If you have somebody like Wendy, helping you, not only providing the trade setups, but also with all the support and the education that goes with that. And we'll get into that in just a bit. So at this point, I think everybody's tired of hearing from me, Wendy. I think they want to hear what you've got for them. So I will get ready to turn things over to you. And then once Wendy is done, I'll come back again. We'll have that Q&A session with Wendy. Then we'll cover everything that comes with her premium programs, including the signal services, the educational material, all the support, everything that comes with her services. All right, Wendy, I'll go ahead and switch over to you. And
all right,
just give me a moment here. All right, you should get a pop-up on your side there.
Okay, show my screen. and try to, I don't know how to get rid of that. All
Yeah,
right,
well, you can take it to your screen and maybe just enlarge your slides there or maximize your slides.
okay.
Do that.
I have my picture and your picture still on the middle of it. So there we go. That made it a little smaller.
And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and shut my video off. That should help
There
too.
you, maybe that's what we need to do so I don't want to click something that's going to click everything off. All right, show slideshow. Okay, there we go. All right, as you know, I'm Wendy, and we are going to talk about Alpha and Gemini trade alerts. See if I can get it to. So I'm going to explain how I came to trading, and it is not by any means the normal way. That what you're seeing here is a book that I have written called Knowing is Seeing, and it discusses a little bit about how I came to trading, but it's a little bit more than that. It actually also discusses what I have done to change my attitude toward bringing about positive things in my life, knowing that I can succeed in doing anything that I put my mind to. And I think that this is important because I can tell you that earlier on in my life, I often would think, oh, nothing ever works out for me. Things are always so hard. And that is what I created. And so once I changed my attitude to knowing that I was going to be successful in whatever I tried, that really, really brought about positive results. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here. This actually is a picture of a gift shop that my husband and I had. So for many, many years, almost 20, my husband and I carved decoy ducks and birds, and I was an artist. And so he carved them and I painted them, and we sold them. I did other paintings. And we had a child, our youngest, in college, and all of a sudden one day there was this crazy flood. It doesn't flood in the mountains of North Carolina, but we had a tornado or hurricane come through. We had a dam that burst, and then there was a river that got clogged up and flooded. And so we had like 5 foot of water in our shop. And because it doesn't really flood in North Carolina, we did not have flood insurance. And so we were in a spot of really being in a bad place. So we could have lost our home. Like I said, our son was in college. And so I took the money that we had set aside for an electric bill, because electric was off anyway, and I took some classes on how to trade options. And I won some and I lost some, and then I won some more. But I ultimately learned what these programs, the Alpha and Gemini programs, are all about. And after about 6 months of drying out and the repairs and refinishing and the shop, it reopened. And this sounds wild and crazy, but it was option trading that provided the funds to reopen the shop. The flood and what seemed to be a big disaster in the beginning ended up being a miracle. It truly was a blessing. And so that now has changed my way of looking at life overall. That when something happens that might be considered negative, I don't think that about it. I sit back and I think, okay, what is the wonderful thing that's going to come out of this that I might not expect? And so trading is what I do, and I'm going to show you a picture. This is where I am right this minute, and this is my view. I am on the mountain of North Carolina, and this is my trading spot. I live this wonderful life that trading has brought about. All right, so I'm going to tell you about the P3 and the P3.5 patterns, and they were discovered in that period where I was trading and when we were recovering from the flood. And I think it's truly because I'm an artist that I see things different than people that are come to trading and all from a financial background, that I see these patterns kind of going through a life cycle of stages. And that is what my books in the Gemini and Alpha teaches you. So in general, equities can be overbought or oversold. And I'm going to show you a very easy to understand indicator that I use on my charts called a CCI indicator. It stands for Channel Commodity Index. And it's easy to read, and it gives you a major suggestion about market direction, and it shows you overbought or oversold. And it can be put on any time frame chart. So you can look at it on a daily chart, a 60-minute chart, a 30-minute chart. So the reason that that is all important, and this is a slide here from June 15th and another from the 23rd, there has been a lot of volatility lately, that one day the market goes up and then goes flat and rises some more, and then you can have a couple days later that it's down and back and forth, and then there's days in between where it's like today, where it started off down and ended up being up. And so this is what my patterns, the P3 and P3.5 patterns, help to sort out. So this is the CCI indicator that I mentioned. This is the Dow. And I think of these as being like fins, like in a sense, like shark fins. You can see that up here above the 100 line, it creates these green fins. Down here below the minus 100 line, there's the brown fins. And so there's a line here in the middle, that's a 0 line, and that divides between bearish, which is the brown, and bullish, which is the green. And so you can see here where this crossed down below the 0 line, that dropped down and was bearish, and it was bearish in that area for over a month. Well, you can see what happened with price here. It was down, dropped, and was down over a month. Then it started to rise up, and you can see that that is happening with the candles, and it starts to rise. Here we have it drop down below the 100 line, and that's what's been happening the last 3 days or so. So this is just showing you that if you have not been involved in trading, you maybe are not familiar with charts, and this is all kind of new, that you can learn this, that the indicators and the chart setups are not all that complicated. You just need to have somebody explain it to you in an understandable way. Okay, so we were looking at a daily chart. Now this is a weekly chart. So this is looking at the same image in a sense. We still have the CCI down here. Can see that it was down here, made this brown peak, fin, if you want to call it that. Rose up here, a green fin, went kind of flat sideways for a while, then dropped and went bearish again, and then back and forth, and now it's been bullish. And so these moves, this was 7 weeks out of 9 that it rose. Then there was 2 weeks here that it rose. Then there was 4 weeks that rose. And now we've been up for 3 weeks. So this just one indicator helps to really be able to see what is you're expecting to happen within the market and the market move. And we're going to add other indicators, but let me share one more. That this is again is just a closer picture of what we were looking at. Instead of it being a couple years, this is just showing the October into November move. Here is December, and then March, and the 3 weeks that were in May. So you can change the time frame. That this is a weekly time frame. You can change it to daily, 60-minute, 30-minute. So I've switched now to Dollar Tree, and this is a daily chart. Again, just to show you that this is something with just the little bit of information that I have shared so far with you in the last couple minutes, you could easily look at this and see that this has been bullish, has a green fin, has been up above the 0 line in bullish territory. You can look up here and see that it has been rising. Then here it dropped, crossed down below the 0 line and came down here and made this bearish fin. And so at the point here where it crossed down below the 0 line, that was still way up here. So that would have been an indication to you early on, okay, this one is getting ready to switch, and it's going to become more bearish. You could just, even using this one indicator, have ended up purchasing a put up here and have really benefited in this big drop. So look where we are right now, that this is crossing the 0 line, and look at this candle. Big bullish candle starting to move up and move into bullish territory. So again, this is just showing you one simple indicator that is telling you a story. And so the other elements of the P3 and P3.5 patterns do the same thing. So this is just the start of that. And the P3 and P3.5 patterns, they go through 6 stages, and I call them life cycle stages. So part of this program, in addition to trade alerts being sent and all, there is lots of educational material that you get, videos and conversations that I have with you teaching, where I go over all of this 3 times a week. And so in this particular case, and I'm just cover this very fast, but the P3 pattern is where the PPO, that's a different indicator, and the ADX, the lines pinch together. Sometimes they pinch real tight, and sometimes the pinch is not as tight. Here's another one. You can see that they've pinched together. Here, this one is even a little bit less than that, but you can still see that this is rising, this is dropping, the lines are pinching together. Now look at that one. That is super tight, and sometimes they're even closer than that. They never cross each other, but they can certainly block out some of this little white space that is between the lines. So this is what the P3 pattern, this is, go back to that. This is stage 1 of the 6 stages, is the creation of this pinch pattern. The P3 stands for profit probability potential, and instead of saying that each time, we started calling it P3. Well, then there's also the P3.5 pattern, and it has a different element, but you learn to pick those out, that they are formed by the P3 being up, the ADX rising, and then ultimately the red line here crossing over the green. And so they are very specific as well. And that is the information that the books cover and teach you the life cycle stages that each pattern goes through. And I haven't said this yet, but the P3 pattern, when it becomes an adult, that is what conceives the P3.5 pattern. When the P3.5 pattern becomes an adult, that is what conceives the P3 pattern. So in the end, you can look at any equity, any time frame, and know exactly what pattern is forming, what stage of the pattern, what life cycle stage it's in, and therefore what is going to happen next. So some of this I've already said, that the adult stages of the P3 and the P3.5 conceive the opposite pattern. P3.5 patterns conceive the P3 pattern. So there's a P3.5, went through its life cycle stage. It conceived the P3. Now this P3 has gone through its life cycle stage. You can see here that the PPO is getting ready to cross down. That will change it from a P3 to a P3.5. And so this pattern in its life cycle going into the adult stage has now conceived a P3.5 pattern, and it is getting ready to start dropping. You look up here, you can see it starting. Okay, so we're talking about the Gemini program, and we're talking about then the Alpha program. They trade the same P3 and P3.5 patterns, but the difference is that the Gemini pattern, it has an earlier entry and is held a little bit longer. It gets in on stage 4 of the P3 and P3.5 pattern. And once the stage 4 confirms, that could be an entry. And this is what you're learning in all of the educational material and following the trades and such that are sent. The Alpha ends up getting in at a final stage. So again, this is JP Morgan. Oh, no, it is Johnson & Johnson, sorry. We can see that here on the CCI, it's getting ready to cross the 0 line. We have a P3 pattern that is at stage 4 where the DI lines are crossing. PPO has already crossed. And so this was the P3 squeeze. I'm sure you can already pick it out. And now it is going into the adult stage. And that is what happens, that the patterns form when they start going through the life cycle stages. Price rises. When it's a P3.5 pattern, price drops. And this is what I teach you. And I teach you in a very understandable way. Again, you don't have to have a financial education to be able to actually trade and do this. So here is where the P3 pattern played out. Now the PPO here is crossing down. We know that this adult stage conceived the P3.5 pattern. Here the DI line has crossed, the red line now over the green, and we have a big drop. So again, this now is going through its adult stage. And look, here is the P3 that has formed. So one pattern conceives the opposite pattern, and they flow back and forth, back and forth. Alpha, as I mentioned, instead of getting in at the very earliest possible moment, it focuses on what I call the strength stage, or the adult stage of the patterns. And this is one of the strength stages. This is forward motors. And we have the PPO up, we have the green line in charge, and a rising ADX. So that is what the alpha program does. Instead of getting in at the earliest possible time and kind of going through the whole life cycle, it just kind of zeroes in, and the trades are held for a shorter period of time. The bearish trades, in a sense, are the same thing. That here the PPO crossed down, here the red line crossed up. That is not where entry is. Entry is when the ADX goes into the adult stage. There's a couple of them here. Into the adult stage, where it's focused on the strength of a shorter drop in and out within just a couple days. All right, that kind of, I can go back here, kind of covers the P3 patterns and gives you a very quick overall view of how they play off of each other. There's many people that end up overall getting both programs because they trade different equities, because it's focusing on different stages of the pattern. And some are held for longer periods of time and the others are for shorter, and it just works out really, really well for them. So are we ready for some questions?
I think so, Wendy. So I'll leave you leave your slides up. So if some of the questions come through that they're asking questions about
Okay.
some patterns and you want to show them on the chart, I'll let you leave those up there. But let me go ahead and start fielding. So guys, if you have questions for Wendy, go ahead and post them. We'll get to as many as we can. If you have, if you have questions beyond what we have time to answer, we'll provide the phone number later for you to call and get all your questions answered here. All right, let's see. John asks, Wendy said ADX a few times. What does ADX represent?
It is the average directional index. And the quick educational aspect of it is when the red line is on top, that is the red is bearish. When the green line's on top, that is bullish. And the black line is what I call a strength line. So if the strength line is rising, it is giving strength to the line that is on top. Again, in my programs and the videos that you get access to every week, that this is all the stuff that I talk about and explain.
All right, fantastic. And let's see, Howard asked, do you supply software? So how does that work, Wendy? I think all your indicators are, most trading platforms will have these indicators, correct?
Exactly, yes. In some brokerages, they might be called something a little bit different, like what we're looking at here, I've been looking at is stock charts, which is just a trades chart service. I think in some place it might be called DMI, but it is still just exactly the same as the ADX. So your brokers will have the chart indicators.
All right, excellent. And then Neil asked a great question. How many minutes / hours these programs require us to be in front of the computer screen?
Okay, well, I guess there's two sides to that question. One, if you're trading the trades that are suggested by being sent to you, then as long as you get a text message or whatever, you don't have to be sitting in front of the computer. You would just, once you got notified, you would open or close the trade based on either your email or your text message. If, on the other hand, you are learning to trade on your own and looking at charts, again, I send you or post up online a weekly newsletter, and maybe it lists 10, 15 different equities that you could check and decide if you wanted to enter any of those. And if you did, looking through those charts is going to take a little time, maybe a little time in the evening that you devote to this. But once you open a trade, because you're trading daily charts, you could look at it once or twice a day just to see what's happening. And when it gets to be at a point where you think, okay, before long, I'm going to be needing to close this trade, then you focus a little bit more attention. But because it's a daily chart, you don't have to watch it quite as much as if it was a half-hour chart or something.
All right, and Mike asks, I think you kind of answered this question, how much time do I need to commit to this? And I think you answered a lot of that. And Mike, I'll just say as well that we'll talk about this in a moment, that we do have third-party registered and licensed brokers that can execute these trades for you. So for those that don't have the time for this, we've got you covered as well there. Brian wants to know, does price being on one side of the zero line or the other on PPO mean anything?
PPO, okay. Usually when it crosses over the zero line, things are more bullish, and when it's down below the zero line, it's bearish. But you can have the lines pinched together well below being below the zero line, and so you can have a cross up and get in while it's still down below the zero line. So you're following the pattern more than if it's above the zero or down below the zero. That it's just information to kind of show that, okay, it's now above that line and it's more stronger, more bullish, or it's heading down below it, so it's bearish. But you can still have a bullish pattern playing out while it's down below the zero line.
All right, excellent. And Stephanie asked a great question. She said, can I teach this to my teenagers?
Definitely. My grandsons are all learning it. Definitely. Yep. And you'll be surprised how quickly they pick up on it.
All right, and let's see, we've got Minaj wants to know, how do you know or determine what stock price to enter the trade?
Well, that is part of the strategy that the book covers, that usually I select just a little bit out of the money. But again, that is all covered in the book as far as the strategy is concerned.
All right, and Jill asks, how much do I need to trade with? And I think we talked about in the trade academics, but maybe you want to pick that one up.
Usually about 7,500. And the reason for that is we I guess as a general rule, it is suggested that you don't have more than 20% of your account in any one trade. That is just being smart. And so if you had 7,500 as your base account amount, then you wouldn't put in more than 1,500. For me, I would do more like between 10 and 15%. So maybe have $750 in a trade, and you have 2 trades open, so that's 1,500. And that is what you focus on. And that way, if one trade does not do well and you do have a loss, it isn't like it wiped out your whole account.
All right. And then Craig wants to know, do you have a community or a chat room? I think that's right up your alley.
I actually do that have a chat room. I am in and out of it, and it's more a community chat room that everybody just trades the P3 patterns. Some day trade, some trade longer term, and when they're trading, they're not talking, but then maybe they will post a trade so that you can learn from what they've done. But yeah, I do have a chat room.
Okay. Peter wants to know, he says, I'm in one of your other programs. Do I get a discount for joining multiple programs? So maybe I'll handle that one.
I was going to say, maybe you can answer that one.
Yeah, so Peter, I'll put up the numbers after. So if you're already a student of Wendy's, you can call us. We can go over your portfolio and get you back on track there. Let's see. We've got another question. Can these be applied to Forex markets as well? Well, so you're trading options. You're either trading calls or puts, buying calls or puts. There's no foreign exchange trading here. But is this something, I don't know if you've experienced Forex markets, is it something that you can apply to any market or?
I believe so, as far as the patterns that you learn. I have not gone into Forex. That I know some other traders that do, and I feel that they use my patterns there as well, but it's not something that I actually have been involved in.
Okay, let's see. Morgan wants to know, can I set this program up to trade in my IRA?
I know of people that do that. You will have to check as far as what your specific requirements are, but I know a number of people that do use the funds that are in their IRA.
And I'll just piggyback on that. So Morgan, yeah, so you, when you call us, Morgan, we can let you know the different account types that you can trade these programs in. So we have a lot of our clients here at FFR that run a lot of these strategies in their IRA, which is a great thing to do, obviously for tax purposes and so on. Not just building your IRA, but you're not having to report all the gains and losses. Let's see. Let's see, Charles asks, how often do you reissue a P3 and P3.5 watch list? I have your PE booklet.
The watch lists are done weekly, and because I do them, I do different ones every day of the week. And so the alpha, I can't even think at the moment. The alpha is done one day and the Gemini is done another day, and I do them weekly.
Okay, and then Gord wants to know what kind of max drawdown have you experienced? So Gord, I'll just say if you call us, we can go over the performance in detail for you. I give you all the numbers there. Let me just wrap up. We'll take a couple more questions and then we've got to move on here. Let me see. Okay. Jason wants to know if you feel like the market conditions have gotten better this year. I apologize, some of the questions got cut off here. What do you think about the current market conditions, Wendy?
Well, I mean, we have been more bullish than we were last year, but the volatility this year has been a challenge, and so that's why I was saying that a lot of times trades are held for shorter periods of time because you just really do not know what may happen tomorrow. So that if you've earned enough to have it be a nice trade, sometimes we'll suggest go ahead and close it and say thank you very much and move on to something else that's new and just getting started.
Okay. And then one last one I'll pick up here. Ari wants to know, do you check the news or only the patterns?
Personally, I just check the patterns. That I do just a brief look at what's going on in the morning, just so that I kind of know if there's a Fed report that's going to be happening that particular day or some other specific kind of news. But I do not sit and have the stock market on the TV playing all day. That I pay attention to the patterns because the patterns play out and go through their stages. And if ever a pattern fails, then I know 100% what's going to happen next. And that's what I teach you.
All right, excellent. All right, guys. So if you have additional, I'm sorry, we can't get with so many questions, we can't get to all of them, but I will put up the number so you can give us a call and we can answer any questions that you have that didn't get answered here. I will go ahead and switch back over here, Wendy, and you guys should see my slide here. So we just wrapped up the Q&A with Wendy. And Wendy, I'm going to put up another slide here that, let me just pull this back up here. And that's the I believe in you slide. And, we put this up because, you have kind of a unique way with people. You are very relatable and you believe in people because you were there yourself, right? This is how you started, just like most of the folks on the webinar here. So just maybe just talk to this slide a little bit and give us your thoughts here and what you want to communicate to the people on the webinar today.
Well, I feel that I am just a normal, everyday person, just like you. And that the way that I teach is trying to speak in a way that is just describing a pattern, in an understandable way. And I know that anyone that has the desire can learn to trade options. And that is my approach, whether it's through the Knowing is Seeing book, helps you with just the attitude and the confidence. But the books that are written for Alpha and Gemini, they go through the patterns in a very understandable way. And anybody can learn to trade options if that's what they desire and want to do. And so we're offering a special, and the folks at FFR Trading will be able to explain that and discuss it with you. And I'm just so happy to be here and tickled pink to have talked with you and to have shared this information. I just hope that it fits just the right place for you and makes it life-changing. It certainly has for me.
All right, excellent. And I just want to make sure everybody can see. And you guys, can you see my slides? I just want to make sure you can still see my slides here. Yes, okay. All right, perfect. All right, so just some questions to ask yourself before we get into the material here. You know, everybody's here for a reason, right? You're looking for something because maybe everything is not quite going according to plan, you know, as far as your financial life goes. Maybe you're a new trader, you're struggling, right? You're not profitable. You need help. Ask yourself, would this help? Would partnering with Wendy help you reach your goals? Or maybe you've got years of experience, but you've never, you know, achieved the kind of numbers our traders, you know, have been able to achieve. Would partnering with a professional like Wendy help? Would it help to see, you know, how she has successfully been helping others like yourself reach their goals faster? Maybe you're trying to build a retirement. You know, you've only got 10 to 15 years before you want to retire, but you realize, you know, 10% in a mutual fund each year is not going to cut it. You know, would getting a return of over 50 to 100%, that help? And for those that, you know, don't have the time to do this yourself, maybe you work full time, maybe you're busy running your own business. Would it help to have Wendy's trade signals sent directly to a third-party registered broker who would execute the trades in your account on your behalf? You know, would that help? So as you guys think about that, let's talk about everything that comes with the programs here. All right. So all the services that are premium services that we're talking about, Gemini and Alpha, right? This is what they're going to include. You're going to get direct alerts, right? These are the trade setups sent to your email or cell phone, so you can place these exact same trades in your own brokerage account. You're also going to get the daily market and position recaps, so you always know exactly what trades were open that day, you know, what trades have been closed, what you're currently holding. You get direct access to Wendy and her team. So any educated questions you have regarding the markets, the methodology, right, they're there to help you. All the educational material that comes with the strategy, all the entry rules, the exit rules, you know, how Wendy picks her options, all of that is included. The bi-weekly market outlook that she mentioned, that's posted on her website. You'll have a username and password to access that and kind of get her bigger picture of what's going on in the markets and what she's seeing. You have a link. Somebody asked about the chat room earlier. You get a link to her chat room website. So any strategy questions you have, you want to get support, there's obviously others, students in there. You can interact with them. And you do teaching sessions, Wendy, correct? We call Lunch with Wendy. That's on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I believe those sessions are recorded as well, are they not? I'm sorry, I think I had muted you there for a moment.
That's all right. Yes, they are recorded, and so they can be viewed at any time. You know, you could do it on the weekend or in the evening or whatever.
All right, excellent. And then you do get access, as we talked about, to third-party registered brokers. All right, that's an option again for those folks that don't have the time management available to, you know, self-trade. So you can have a third-party registered broker execute these trades in your own account on your behalf. And then you do get access to us here at FFR Trading, and our team here. You know, we're here to help you build a well-diversified portfolio of strategies. Right, so you're not just in one strategy. You know, most of your students, Wendy, are probably in more than one strategy for the diversification purposes. So we want to diversify you among traders, strategies, markets as well.
Yes.
Now, this was a testimonial that was sent from one of your students very recently. This was from Randy. Randy was just talking about how he read your P3 manual. He started trading. He said he's gone through 8 trades. All have been profitable. Maybe just talk about, obviously you've had some experience with Randy. Just talk about what his comments are here. He's got your Gemini program, but he also has some of these merit programs like the SPYs and the Qs. He's been watching the diamonds as well, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But anything you want to add? These you get all the time, I know, because we see them here at FFR. But if you want to talk a little bit about, you know, Randy and what his experience is, and how is that common with many of your students that you're seeing?
I have gotten a couple emails from him, and all have been very positive. He's one of these types of traders that he doesn't just go off of the trade information that's sent, that he really is very interested in learning and has done really, really well. So I've gotten a couple emails from him where he shares his pride and his excitement in what he has learned. And I get, I won't call them testimonials, I get emails and comments regularly from traders. And it happens in the chat rooms, that in the chat room, people will post and just say, oh, I'm just so excited I did this, made this much money, you know, and it maybe is a trade that they have entered themselves. And again, it's just because they are learning and moving beyond just getting the signals. It's very exciting.
All right, fantastic. All right, guys, so this is the offer that we have for you today. New students who qualify, Wendy is going to waive the $2,500 enrollment fee for either the Alpha or the Gemini program. So all you're going to be responsible for are the annual dues, and she's going to give you a 40% discount on those annual dues. In addition, if you're one of the first 8 callers and you're a good fit for the program, we have to make sure it's a good fit for you and you do move forward, we'll help you diversify immediately by giving you a complimentary 1-year subscription of one of her merit programs. All right, so you've got the Merit Diamonds program, which is a newer one that trades the ETF for the Dow, the Merit SPY program, which is the ETF for the S&P 500, your Merit Gold, which I believe trades the gold ETFs, the silver ETF, and maybe some of the mining ETFs, and then your QQQ. That's a very popular one as well. So you've got to be one of the first 8 callers that participate to be considered for that bonus, the free merit program. That's a program worth $997 alone, that merit program. It's very popular with your students, I know, because we get calls for those programs all the time. All right, so I will put up the phone number for you guys to call here. If you're here in the US, you can call the 800-883-0524 number. If you're outside the US, you can use the 737-292-4425 number. If you're an existing student of Wendy's, right, and you currently have one of her programs, call in, just let us see how you're doing. We can look for ways to increase the performance that you're getting. Maybe get you back on track if you need that. You know, we're here to help you. This is one thing I know, and I'm sure you'll agree, Wendy, right? If you don't take action, nothing changes, right? Nothing in your financial world is going to change unless you take that first step. It could be the thing that changes your financial life for the better, but you won't know unless you call. All right, so I'll put up the offer again. Wendy, any comments that you want to add? It's a fantastic offer, and I know you've got so many students that have benefited, like Randy that we just saw his testimonial there. Anything you want to add here?
Just that I was happy to share the information. I hope that for some of the folks here that it, I don't know, seems like it jiggled something inside of them that, yes, this is something I would really like to try and to learn and make some money and have it be life-changing. That it is really, really special. So,
and
happy
guys,
to share.
And guys, yeah, it doesn't, it just takes a phone call. You know, you can ask whatever questions you want. We can go over the performance numbers. We're going to have to ask you a few questions. Like I said, make sure it's a good fit. It's not for everybody. But if you can and you want to take advantage of that, be one of the first 8 callers. We're going to give you the discounts, waiving the enrollment fee, 40% off the annual dues. That's all you're responsible for. And we're going to throw in one of those merit programs, and they'll go through, our strategists will go through the merit programs and the performance detail of those as well, and everything those come with. So you know exactly what you're getting, and you can choose which programs that you want to get. But that's a free program worth, you know, $997, 1-year subscription to that. All right. So guys, go ahead and call those numbers. I'll put the numbers up again, and then we're going to wrap up here. It's the 800-883-0524. Again, outside the US, if you want to use the 737-292-4425. support@FFR Trading. If you need to email us, that'll work as well. All right, guys. And again, if you have questions, I'm sorry we weren't able to get to all the questions as our time is up here, but just give us a call and we can get all those questions answered for you and see if this is a good fit for you. All right, so it looks like you guys are already starting to call. That's fantastic. Keep them coming. We've got, looks like 3 spots maybe already filled here. So that leaves us with about 5 left of the 8 that you're opening these programs to. So guys, go ahead and call if you have any interest at all. See if this is for you, and we'll get you, see if it's a good fit, and we'll get you started with Wendy Kirkland. So Wendy, really appreciate you coming on. I always enjoy doing these webinars. You're so personable. People really relate well to you. And I think you'll find, guys, her strategy, when you see the indicators and how she uses them, that visual picture that they paint, it's very easy to follow along, very easy to learn. And so I wish you everybody well. Have a great rest of your trading weeks. Enjoy the 4th of July holiday here if you're in the US. And Wendy, thank you again, and we'll see you back in the next webinar coming up.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.
Good night, everyone. Bye now.